My question was about whether presidential power has limits.
You hear all this debate about infighting among conservatives, infighting among people that believe in limited government. That's really a foolish notion. People who disagree on all sorts of things in the real world work together all the time on things they do agree on. And there has to be a home and a movement in America for people who believe in limited government, constitutional principles, and a free enterprise system, and that should be us.
The GOP of old has grown stale and moss-covered. I don't think we need to name any names, do we? Our party is encumbered by an inconsistent approach to freedom. The new GOP will need to embrace liberty in both the economic and the personal sphere.
As soon as I'm done speaking, I'll tell you what the criticism on the left is going to be. Number one, he drank too much water. Number two, that he didn't offer any new ideas. And there's the fallacy of it. We don't need a new idea. There is an idea. The idea is called America, and it still works.
Rubio will always refer to water, and Rand Paul will always refer to the filibuster. That was his moment. That was a theatrical coup. He got lucky, actually. It was on a snow day where there was no snow. So nothing was happening in the city. The government was shut down. There's nothing on C-SPAN except him. He had the stage. But it was a stroke of genius in the way he did it. I think in his speech he made it really clear that he is a new kind of conservative, like his dad, but clearly the dad had the sharp edges. He had the obsessions with the gold standard. He looked a little bit cranky. Rand is very smooth. But he does go against the grain historically on social issues of conservatives, because he really is a libertarian, speaking about the drugs and other things, whereas Rubio spoke about the sanctity of life and other things, a more traditional approach. And the big split really is on foreign affairs, where Rand clearly implies that he is a semi-isolationist in the mode of his dad, speaking about the drones. He speaks about it as a constitutional issue, but it really is a withdrawal issue. Rubio, I think, stands strong on that. So there is a real difference of opinion on the fundamentals.
The question that I would pose to the senior senator from California is, would she deem it consistent with the Bill of Rights for Congress to engage in the same endeavor that we are contemplating doing with the Second Amendment in the context of the First or Fourth Amendment?
I'm not a sixth grader. Senator, I've been on this committee for 20 years. I was a mayor for 9 years. I've studied the Constitution myself. I am reasonably well educated, and I thank you for the lecture. Incidentally, this does not prohibit, you use the word prohibit, it exempts 2,271 weapons. Isn't that enough for the people in the United States?
I think nobody doubts her sincerity or her passion. And yet, at the same time, I would note that she chose not to answer the question.
Congress is in the business of making law. The Supreme Court interprets the law. They strike down the law, they strike down the law.
Well, it was an interesting exchange, and in the end, Cruz overshot. His question was, his argument was, you wouldn't tamper with the First Amendment on free speech, for example, the way you're tampering with the Second, and restricting it by making some weapons illegal. And the answer that Feinstein ended up with, suggested by Dick Durbin, was, yes, we do with the First Amendment when we outlaw pornography. So that's a large category of speech that is illegal, and that, therefore, it isn't absolute that every right in the First or the Second or the Fourth Amendment is one that you cannot touch. So I thought Cruz was, also the manner in which he asked it, I think it appeared a little bit offensive. I don't think Cruz helped himself, but on the general argument, Feinstein's side, even though it won in committee, is going to lose. Has no chance in the House, and it will probably lose in the Senate.
Key provisions we'll put up on the screen as Dianne Feinstein's bill has kind of laid it out, and there you see the ban of the specific weapons, the large capacity magazines, 10 plus rounds, the background checks on future transfers, and excluding those specific hunting and sporting rifles, more than 2,200. Charles.
And the irony is it's the White House against Senate Democrats. The White House, the president has insisted over and over again he wants to see a vote on this, but Senate Democrats, many of them in red states, are loath to have a vote on this where they would vote against assault weapons or vote in favor of a ban, because a lot of them are up for re-election. This will hurt them. So you've got the administration, the White House pushing, and Democratic senators resisting, and that's why I think it doesn't have a chance of passage in the Senate.
Right. And not necessarily this particular piece of legislation, but universal background checks polls in some states over 90% support.
Well, that'll pass, but the ban will not.
Yeah, this one is a little harder.
Yeah.
People are split on this.
This has been a Sunfish production.